Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Broadway is a very special place, filled with very special people. People who can sing and dance, often at the same time. They are a different people, a multi-talented people, a people who need people, and who are, in many ways, the luckiest people in the world. In any great adventure, if you don't want to lose, victory depends upon the people that you choose. So listen, everybody, closely to this news. You won't succeed on Broadway if you don't have any Jews. You may have the finest sets, fill the stage with penthouse pets. You may have the loveliest costumes and best shoes. You may dance and you may sing, but I'm sorry this may sting. You'll hear no cheers, just lots and lots of boos. You may have bitch men by the score whom the audience adore. You may even have some animals from zoos. Though you've poles and krauts instead, you may have unleavened bread. But I tell you, you are dead if you don't have any Jews. They won't care if it's witty or everything looks pretty. They'll simply say it's and refuse. Nobody will go, sir. If it's not kosher, then no show, sir. Even goyim won't be dim enough to choose. Put on shows that men stare with lots of girls in underwear. You may even have the finest of reviews. But the audiences won't care, sir, as long as you don't dare, sir, to open up on Broadway if you don't have any Jews.
A fiddler on the roof. Sounds crazy, but in the village of Anatevka, you might say that everybody is a fiddler on the roof. Before the great pandemic of COVID in 2019, Fiddler on the Roof reopened on Broadway in Yiddish. For those who grew up around Yiddish, its use strikes a deep emotional chord. It's not just the fusillade of familiar words and phrases, meshuggah, geklemmt, sei gesund. It's the sound of some of our grandparents and great-grandparents and all that they lost leaving their Anatevkas. While the exact origins of the Yiddish language are still shrouded in some uncertainty, all agree that it has its origins in the 9th to 10th centuries, when the first Jews settled in the Rhineland and in present-day Germany. While Hebrew, the Holy Tongue, was reserved for spiritual purposes, for common speech, the Jews at the time had been using Aramaic mixed with other languages. After settling in the Rhineland, where Germanic languages were developing, the Jews concurrently developed their own unique language, most commonly called Yiddish, which is why Yiddish is linguistically similar to German. Now, when Jewish people migrated eastward, they carried Yiddish along with them, and by the onset of World War II, there were about 11 to 13 million Yiddish speakers. As you might imagine, the Yiddish language nearly died with the loss of 6 million during World War II. Tonight, as the Rubin family comes forward to light our Broadway Shabbat candles, we will pay homage to those who came before and the way in which they welcomed Shabbat. If you know it, please sing with us.
May the Lord protect and defend you. May God always shield you from shame. May you come to be in Israel a shining name. May you be like Ruth and like Esther. May you be deserving of praise. Strengthen them, O Lord, and keep them from a stranger's way.
you long.
May the Lord fulfill our Sabbath prayer for you.
May God make you good mothers and wives.
May God send you husbands who will care for you. May the Lord protect and defend you. May the Lord preserve you from pain. Favor them, O Lord, with happiness and peace. Oh, hear our Sabbath prayer. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Thank you, Miles. You and your family can sit down.
Tonight, our service will take us on a journey through musical theater through the ages. So right now, we're going to rewind all the way back to 1888, when a young Irving Berlin was born. His real name was Israel Balin, clearly not a great stage name, too Jewish for secular circles. But you can't have a real conversation about Broadway or the Great American Songbook without mentioning Irving Berlin. Born in a shtetl called Tolochin in Imperial Russia, his family escaped the pogroms and poverty and came to the US when he was just 5 years old. They had nothing. His father was a traveling cantor in Russia but couldn't get work in America. So he worked at a kosher meat market and gave Hebrew lessons on the side. Sadly, his father died a few years later when Berlin was only 13 years old. Can you imagine being bar mitzvah age in a new country with nothing and then lose your father? But he pulled himself up by his own bootstraps. He left school at 13, no education, and started as a newspaper boy. And he would hear the music coming through the saloons that he would pass on his route. Eventually, he sang on street corners, and finally, he got hired as a songwriter in Tin Pan Alley, the original Music Row of America, long before the Music Row here in Nashville. And the rest was history. He owned and operated his own theater. He wrote 15 Hollywood films, 20 Broadway shows, and 1,500 songs. Among them, I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas, the first of many secular Christmas songs written by a Jewish immigrant. He wrote God Bless America. His influence on American music cannot be overstated. He inspired generations of songwriters after him, many of whom wrote songs you will hear tonight. George Gershwin called him the greatest songwriter that ever lived, and Jerome Kern said, Irving Berlin has no place in American music. He is American music. This song, Blue Skies, was composed in 1926 as a last-minute addition to the Rodgers and Hart musical Betsy. The show was short-lived, but this song has become immortal. Recorded by Benny Goodman, Frank Sinatra, Ella Fitzgerald, Bing Crosby, and Willie Nelson, to name a few. All this from a Jewish boy from the shtetl. I was blue, just as blue as I could be. Every day was a cloudy day for me. Then good luck came a knocking at my door. Skies were gray, but not gray anymore. Blue skies smiling at me. Nothing but blue skies do I see. Bluebirds singing singing a song. Nothing but bluebirds all day long. Never saw the sun shining so bright, never saw things going so right. Noticing the days hurrying by when you're in love, my how they fly. Blue days, all of them gone. Nothing but blue skies from now on.
Well, we continue welcoming in the Broadway angels of Shabbat with the words of Shalom Aleichem, familiar words, a little bit of a different tune.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bochem leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Zeichem leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bochem leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Zeichem leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamalachim.
So we want to celebrate all sorts of good things. One of the things that we are celebrating is that we are celebrating Miles' Brit Mitzvah this weekend, this Shabbat. So Miles, you're going to come on up because we're going to need you for our Chatzi Kaddish in just a moment. But we may have other celebrations. And so if you have something to celebrate or a simcha or something good happening in your life, we want to know what it is. Let us know. So who's got something? We'll start with birthdays or Julie. What do you got? Oh, Julie, Steve are going to be grandparents. So excited about that. I'll just repeat it, Rabbi. I got you up here. All right, I'm getting directorial cues from the back. So, okay, you're going to be grandparents. This is the first, this is it. This is number one. Oh, well, happy anniversary in advance. That's very exciting news. I love that. Okay, Miles, you can come up here. Come hang out with me. All right, what other great news do we have going on? Yes.
35. We have 48. Do we have 50? 50. Going once. Going twice.
Congrats. Yeah. Do I hear 50? Do I hear 52? One more year. Good job. That's really nice. Congratulations. All right. So we've got 35 years of marriage. We have 48 years of marriage. What else are we celebrating this week? Anything exciting? Yeah. I mean, I have to say that Josie Wieland, who is here with us for Shabbat, who is one of my daughter's best friends, got into Harvard this week. You may have heard of that school. It's up in Boston, Cambridge area. Anyway, we're really excited for you, Josie. Really excited. All right, other simchas, other good things. Birthdays? Anybody? My son is turning 22 on Sunday.
My gosh.
I know, which is crazy because I'm 32, so I don't figure out how that works out at all. All right, well, should we ask everyone to please rise, Miles? Yeah, go for it.
Please rise.
Excellent. See, good job, good job. All right, you ready?
Yikadov yishtata shmei rabba diva hiote vemlikla hute vehaya hoyo mechon uvaye hobet Yisrael bagala uvizman kari vimru amen ahei shrei rabba mevorach Leolam olam me'amaya Yibarak Yibarak Yishbatak Yibamar Yidaman Vinaseh V'yitadar V'yitale V'yitala Shemekisha B'ipru Leolam Kihor Mi'ataha V'shirata Tushbetata Lehemata Amen.
Now, Miles, that was outstanding, and we are looking forward to you leading services tomorrow morning, too. The reason why you're so good at that and all the other prayers and Torah and everything else is because you are not, please be seated, a Hebrew school dropout.
That's
Am I
right.
Cantor?
That's right. So this song is from my imaginary show called Schmaltz, and it's the Cantor's Lament, also known as Hebrew School Dropout. Your story's sad to tell, a boy chick ne'er-do-well, most non-compliant student in the shul, not you, Miles. Your cantor's screaming, oy vey's mir now, with your bar mitzvah looming near now. Can't even get a call back from you, Shmuel. Ay, ay, ay. Oy, 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 oy. Hebrew school dropout. You never learned your aleph bet. Hebrew school dropout.
Hebrew school dropouts.
Can't tell a samich from a tet. If you expect to have a party with your friends and dance the hora, you'll have to take some time each day to practice your Haftorah. Shmuel, get moving.
Shmuel, get moving.
You've got to learn your Amidah, if not for yourself.
If not for yourself.
Then do it for your mom and pa. They've reserved the caterer, the DJ, and the open bar. So stop your kvetching and get your Hebrew up to par. Hebrew school dropout.
Hebrew school dropout.
The fate of our people lies with you.
No pressure.
Hebrew school dropout.
Hebrew school dropout.
Just think, what would Moses do if you channeled half the effort you put towards your Insta story? You'd get twice the ROI when your bar mitzvah cash comes pouring. Shmuel, don't blow it.
You better not blow it.
This is your chance to prove you can. You're only 13.
You're only 13.
Our religion says now you're a man. Your suit is pressed, your bubby is stressed, your tuition's paid in full. So turn off your TikTok and come back to Hebrew school. All right, now on a more serious note, we'll continue with Ahavat Olam into Shema. 525,600 minutes. 525,000 moments so dear. 525,600 minutes. How do you measure a year? In daylights, in sunsets, in midnights, in cups of coffee, in inches, in miles, in laughter and strife. In 525,600 minutes, how do you measure a year in the life? How about love? How about love? How about love? Measuring love. Seasons of love. Seasons of love.
525,600 minutes. 525,000 journeys to plan. 525,600 minutes. How do you measure the life of a woman or a man?
In truths that she learned, or in times that he cried, in bridges he burned, or the way that she died. Let's celebrate, remember a year in the life of friends. Lam, Avato, Lam, Avato, Lam, measuring love. Seasons of love. Seasons of love. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed.
This next piece is one of my perennial favorites. It's from a show you may know. It's called A Chorus Line, and it speaks about Ve'ahavta, what we do for love.
Kiss today goodbye. The sweetness and the sorrow. Wish me luck the same to you. And I can't regret what I did for love, what I did for love.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. Gone, love is never gone as we travel on. Love's what we'll remember. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך מאודיך
In the original run of Victor Hugo's Les Miserables on Broadway, Colm Wilkinson played Jean Valjean, otherwise known as Prisoner 24601. No show has quite captured my heart the way that this one has. I think I've seen it well over 10, maybe 15 times. And Colm, because we're on a first-name basis, of course, Colm will always remain my very favorite Jean Valjean, although it's hard to complain about Hugh Jackman. Now, for those of you who saw the film version with Hugh Jackman, Colm Wilkinson plays the Monsignor who gifts Jean Valjean the silver at the very beginning of the show when he attempts to steal it and is caught. So he has a cameo in the film. And in the show, Jean Valjean sings a stunningly beautiful piece when he thinks his daughter's betrothed might die. And yesterday marked 180 days since October 7th, and 180 days since 134 remaining hostages are still stolen with no knowledge as to their whereabouts or their condition. Please pray these words from our tradition with me as we have done every Shabbat since October 7th, and then enjoy a very special version of Bring Him Home, borrowed from the Israel Opera Company. Do we have the prayer, Rabbi? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu matir asurim.
God on high, hear my prayer. In my need, you have always been there.
He is young, he's afraid. Let him rest, heaven blessed.
Bring him home, bring him home, bring him home.
הוא עוד קטן, הוא לא שמע על מפלצות, על מלחמה.
לא מבין כמה רע יש בעולם, מה קרה?
אלא בהבכר,
אלא וקרא.
שלח לה אור.
Bring him joy.
תן לו דרור.
He is only a boy.
תן לו מור.
let him live. Sheyashuv od hayom leshalom.
Shalom.
Od hayom, bring them home.
I invite you to please rise for the Amidah.
Miles, would you like to help us? Come on up. We'll read the first few words together and then continue silently.
Adonai sifatafitaf ufiyakitia teha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise.
Have you ever felt like nobody was there? Have you ever felt forgotten in the middle of nowhere? Have you ever felt like you could disappear? Like you could fall and no one would hear? So let that lonely feeling wash away. Maybe there's a reason to believe you'll be okay. 'Cause when you don't feel strong enough to stand, you can reach out your hand. And oh, someone will come running, and I know they'll take you home. Even when the dark comes crashing through, when you need a friend to carry you, when you're broken on the ground, you will be found. So let the sun come streaming in, 'cause you'll reach up and you'll rise again. Lift your head and look around, you will be found. You will be found. You will be found. You will be found. You will be found.
As my hand moves around the room, please feel free to share the names of those you are thinking of for our prayer of healing this Shabbat. I mention the names Dr. Dan Bachman, David Thor, Fitz Simmons, Lieutenant Mike Von Dolan, Mark Hiller, Ebby Sandberg, John Mitchell, and Sydney Rappaport. We have other names? take the names of all those mentioned and others as well who are in need of healing on the Shabbat into our heart. And we continue with these words.
There's a place where we don't have to feel unknown. And every time that you call out, you're a little less alone.
If you only say the word, from across the silence, your voice is heard. Oh, mi sheberach avotenu, mekor habracha le'imotenu. Oh, mi sheberach avotenu, mekor habracha le'imotenu. Mi sheberach. Crashing through, when you need a friend to carry you, when you're broken on the ground, you will be found. So let the sun come streaming in, 'cause you'll reach up and you'll rise again. If you only look around, you will be found. You will be found. You will be found.
So last Sunday, Rabbi Flip and I attended Easter services at Sparrow Day with our dear friend and minister, David Perez, and his wife, Liz. Many of you have met David and Liz before. They've come to Micah many times. It was a beautiful, sunny, balmy Sunday morning in Nashville. The church was full. The band was on their game, and as such, the music was amazing and uplifting. David's sermon was touching. He used resurrection as a metaphor for the light that comes out of the darkness, something that we Jews know a bit about. He encouraged us to remember that it's always dark before the light appears, but that the light will come. His words hit home for many that morning. The tears were flowing. It felt good to support dear friends on an important holiday in their tradition. And if I might add, for the first time in 18 years, I felt so normal in Nashville. I mean, it was Easter Sunday, and we got up and went to church. Making your way in the world today takes everything you've got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name. You can sing it. And they're always glad you came. You want to be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You want to be where everybody knows your name. It's not a Broadway tune, but we all know it. Cheers was the sitcom we all turned to because it reminded us not just to laugh, but that there are places in this life where we are seen and where we are known and where we feel like we belong. And that's what the theater offers to so many of us. Whether we prefer to be on the stage or in the audience, the theater is a place where we can belong for either who we are or who we dream to be. It's not a surprise then that so many of the great theatrical composers, writers, producers, and the like were and are Jewish. The opportunity to be accepted and to fit in and to belong, this is the path, the dream of the Jewish people. When I was young, my mom would take me to the theater just like her mother, my grandmother Edith, would take her, and I would collect all the playbills. I was enchanted and entranced and firmly convinced that I too would one day star on Broadway. In middle school, which we called junior high, I played Wendy in Peter Pan. I was also Meep in the Diary of Anne Frank. I was in high school in the cast of Jesus Christ Superstar, as every aspiring rabbi should be. I was a jet in West Side Story, and truth be told, I really wanted to be a shark, but my skin was so fair, something I remind my mother is her fault still to this day. And I had one of the lead roles in a chorus line. So off I went to Northwestern University as a theater major my freshman year, only to discover that I had talent, but maybe not enough. That I had perseverance, but maybe not enough. That I didn't mind a future of waiting tables and struggling to pay my rent, but maybe not enough. However, my love for the theater, that has never faltered. When we lived in Seattle, I took our oldest, Shy, to his first ever live theatrical performance, Dora the Explorer Live. We walked in the door, and the usher handed my sweet 4-year-old a playbill, and I cried. It was as if someone was handing my son a ticket to belonging, a secret pass to a world where anything was possible. He could be anyone, no dream too big. Now, I may not have graduated and gone on to Broadway. Instead, I found the Bema and a similar mission of creating sacred space for people to belong. Every time you walk through the doors here at Micah, it is our collective hope that you will feel that you have come to a place that you can call home, where you are accepted for who you are, for who you might yet become. One of the oldest, sweetest, and well-known tales of the High Holy Day season is the story of the young Jewish boy who is orphaned as a child and adopted into a warm-hearted Gentile family. The boy knew he was Jewish, but little more than that. He lived a simple life as a shepherd, tending to the flock and playing his flute as he cared for the sheep. You may have heard the story. One fall day, sitting at the side of the road, he noticed person after person traveling to the nearby city of Berdichev. Curious, he asked the travelers where they were going. Why, we're on our way to spend the High Holy Days with the great Tzaddik, Rabbi Levi Yitzhak. High Holy Days? Asked the boy. What are those? The men laughed. Silly boy, the Jewish New Year and the Day of Atonement. You should not be here with the sheep. You belong in the synagogue with us. Well, the words struck a chord with the boy, so not knowing what to do and not familiar with High Holy Day ticket policies, the boy simply took his flute and followed the crowd into the synagogue. Never in his life had he experienced such a thing. The sound of the cantor's voice, the townsfolk engaged in prayer, the moving words of the rabbi. And at that moment, the boy also knew, more than any other time in his life, what he did not know. He realized he could not read the language of the service, and he did not know a single prayer. More than anything in the world, he wanted to join in, but he didn't have the tools to do so. And not a single person, not a single soul paid him any attention. All through Rosh Hashanah, and then through Yom Kippur, he sat seeking a way to belong in this holy community. And the time for the closing prayers arrived, and he understood the sanctity of this hour that was soon to end. And one by one, the congregation, the worshipers came up to the ark, silent, without talking, and he sensed the gravity of the moment. And something within him stirred, and the tears were in his eyes, and he was unable to contain himself any longer. And he took out his flute, and he began to play. And a joyous flurry of searing notes emerged. And the worshipers, the congregants, froze and stared. How dare this child create such an outburst? It's inappropriate. And with every darting eye turned against the boy, Rabbi Levi Yitzhak ran off the bima toward the terrified child and hugged him. And he said, this boy has saved us all. All day long I saw that our prayers had not reached the heavens. And with the gates closing, with the hour ending, our names were not yet inscribed in the book of life. Only by way of this boy's pure heart and the pure prayer of his flute, more true than any prayer that we've offered today, the gates of heaven have opened. We owe this boy our gratitude. May each one of us learn to pray as he does. I love this story because it's a reminder that everyone is welcome, that there is a place for each of us, for all of us, right here at home.
There's a place for us, somewhere a place for us, peace and quiet and open air, wait for us somewhere. There's a time for us, someday a time for us, time together with time to spare, time to learn, time to care, someday, somewhere. Find a way of forgiving somewhere. There's a place for us, a time and place for us. Hold my hand and we're halfway there. Hold my hand and I'll take you there. Somehow, someday, somewhere.
Please rise for the words of Aleinu, and if anybody would like to come forward to open the Ark doors, maybe in honor of their grandson's upcoming birthday, welcome them to. Maybe if you're related to a Shai who's having a birthday, I'll join you.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. Before we
Please, I was going to say, please be seated.
Yes. Before we continue with Kaddish, we have a song from Micah J-Lab student Rachel Sonnenberg.
all